beautiful his home actually is.
Game on.
It is a gorgeous part of the world. There are some wonderful places in Canada. David Cameron, who hails from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
60.
Ian Jones got to the final of the England Open last year, lost out in the final of that one. On the way, beat
60.
Dave Parletti, James Hurrell, before losing to Brian Parletti, James Hurrell, before losing to Brian, is it Ramon or Raymond? Ramon?
Brian Raman of Belgium,
62.
the number 1 seed for this tournament. He has a PDC Tour card now, so if he wins this tournament, we won't be seeing him in the WDF for a little while, because I think he's going to do pretty well in the PDC.
58.
Well, we will see. There are a lot of people who are fancying the chances this year. It's an open tournament, as we keep saying.
140.
Nice solid visit from Ian, who's now 60 years old. Nothing wrong with that, of course.
They keep telling me it's a young man's game, John, but I'm seeing quite a few veterans this week.
100.
David Cameron's, I mean, he's in good nick, but he's 52 now.
Must be all that fresh Atlantic air.
Many
99.
Canadian titles over the last decade or more, won by David Cameron.
He's been around a bit, all over the United States and Canada.
He's won pretty much the lot, hasn't he? I mean, if you were to list them, he'd be sitting here for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, we might pick out a couple of them, cherry pick a couple of the better ones. But Ian Jones has had a decent start in this match. He won't be happy with that visit, though.
No, that's not helped him. Ton here from Cameron had put him in a handy position or more if he could. Well, he could do with the treble here.
60.
No, he's a little bit
Ian, you require
slightly missed the boat.
118.
18's first. Looking to get 60 in tops after.
58. David, you require
So 1,
123.
2, 3. This would be a show-stopping start. Well, there's your 3.
83.
Not bad, though.
Ian, you require 60.
Both looking for that early sink of a double just to settle them into the match. And it's found by Ian Jones.
Ian Jones.
In the first leg. So the Englishman,
Second
who
leg,
hails from the
David
same part of the world
Game on.
as former Lakeside participant Scott Baker and Jamie Hughes, of course, who was a semi-finalist here.
99.
Is he a football fan? You have to tread very carefully with that one, don't you? The old Wolves Baggies rivalry is a bit of a tricky one. Say the wrong thing there and you can get yourself in a whole heap of trouble.
I've already put my foot in it this weekend. I'm going to just be quiet. But maybe we'll ask him later if he wins this match. I think
59.
when it comes to Canadians, it's a bit easier because they just love ice hockey.
Yeah, nice bit of gratuitous violence in ice hockey.
Yeah, you can't beat just taking the gloves and the helmet off, having a fight and then shaking hands and then playing a game of hockey.
Worked with a very well-known manager around the broadcast world who used to be a professional ice hockey player, and I tell you what, if somebody got in the way of him, well, I wouldn't advise it. He's a big man and a strong unit. You don't want to be upsetting him.
Like I always say, you don't want to run into people like that at speed.
60.
I suspect back in his competitive days, he knew how to dish it out.
83.
Well, this is a non-contact sport, of course, but you can wound your opponent with some certain shots. We saw someone sporting a shirt from the Black Country last night in Paul Hogan, who lost out to Justin Thompson, but he was wearing a Black Country shirt of red, white and black.
Just couldn't get going, could he, Hoagie? It was a good performance by the Australian. But
David, you
Paul,
require
despite
99.
that brilliant check out, which won in the second set of a 1-2-6, trebles, single and bull on 19s,
59.
couldn't quite
Ian,
maintain that momentum. Now, to square up the match, or rather to go further ahead, 56 required, double 16.
Game shot in the second leg.
Well, he's made a
Ian
decent
Jones.
start here, as Ian.
I wonder why he's called
Third
whipped.
leg, it's Ian to throw first. Game on.
Physique, speed.
Could be. He does play very quickly. Doesn't think too much about the darts he's throwing. But I wonder, after what you said about his performance in 2008, John, I wonder if he remembers who he played, because Mark Webster beat him in 2008.
45.
And he went on to win the title. So maybe that's an omen for Dave Cameron if he can get through Ian Jones.
He's got a bit to do at the moment. Ian's going along quite nicely at the moment.
81.
You could ask him the whippet question when you're suggesting that he's a Wolves fan, when in fact he's a baggy or something. You know, might as well go for the whole lot in one go.
Yeah.
87.
Wouldn't be very popular, would I?
I think he's a gentle soul.
He's got a style that is very watchable. There's a definitive twist of the dart before he delivers it, the same as Dave Cameron. But he throws them at a lovely pace.
Well, he's producing a quite nice, solid performance so far. And Dave Cameron is just having to search a little bit for his best form, and he's going to have to up the ante if he's going to get his way back here. He's in imminent danger of surrendering this first set. A reminder, it's the best of 5 for each of the sets, and then for the match it's best of 3.
Nice lie for the 60.
Oh,
for top.
About that.
And that's the set to Ian Jones. What a beautiful check out to finish set 1.
Yeah, that is beauty in the score.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Losing that first set, only averaging 71. Ian Jones 83.5 and winning it quite handily.
Yeah, very comfortable for Ian, using all of that experience of the last 25 years to his advantage.
100.
Dave Cameron's got more experience on this stage, and he's going to need it.
I know you've been digging around on the history of
43.
Ian Jones. He's been around a long time, hasn't he? 20 years or more playing top players, and in that time he has had some notable performances.
Yeah, he looked back at 2002.
95.
He made the final of the Welsh Open, and he lost to a great of the sport in Andy Fordham, who we unfortunately lost last year. But it just goes to show how long Ian Jones has been around doing things. Now, if you look back at the 2010 World Masters, where he made the quarterfinals, he lost to Martin Phillips in the last 8. But when he got through the earlier rounds, he beat the likes of Steve West, Alan Norris, Dave Chisnell. 3 great players there.
Yeah, well, he can, you know, when he gets his iron, he can score heavily. And he's taken that opening set, and Cameron's got to really dig in there. I heard, of course, Tony O'Shea saying, yeah, this guy's got bags of experience, he's got the qualities to sort it out, but he's got to do so quickly.
60.
A few people have a good
David,
first set yesterday, but
110.
ultimately fail. Just feel that Ian Jones is a bit too wily for that kind of thing. Cameron's average is going to have to be raised, I think, by a good 15 points to stand any chance of winning these final 2 sets.
Ian, you require
Not happy at the moment.
158.
It's a long way to come to be producing a 71 average. This is good. Double 19.
139. David, you require 35.
Cameron's going to go for the single 3. Finds that for double 16.
Game shot
Exactly what he needed.
David Cameron.
A good solid start to set 2.
Made an important dart. Looked very easy there, didn't he? Had to get that one. Jones was breathing down his back,
40.
having gone so close. 2 treble 20s and the attempt at the double 19 for what would have been a 158.
Possibly the most important 3 darts of the match so far, with that miss at double 19, then the conversion by Cameron. If it had gone the other way, John, we could be seeing Ian Jones roll Cameron in 6 or 7 legs in this match.
I know you're a studier of styles and the way people throw their darts. What do you make of these two?
Well, Cameron has a style that's all his own. You see that elbow change position as it comes in. It's almost like a chicken wing, and then he straightens up the forearm. It's all about timing. But I think Ian Jones has got one of those old school actions that is uncomplicated. He's very much a field player. As soon as he sees what he's going for, he's like Bobby George used to say. Throw at what you're looking at, look at what you're throwing.
57.
Yeah, if you watch Dave Cameron, if we take another look next time he's in action with his next visit to the hockey, watch the elbow of the throwing arm, and he actually moves the arm just before. Now he moves there left, moves the elbow left. A real pronounced movement.
Yeah, it's a calibration that's needed with that elbow,
100.
and if that is off, his dart is way off. If that timing is off, he's not going to play well.
Well, he's in a position here where he can
81.
force
David, you require
a break of
108.
throw. 108 required to get it. 88 remaining. Now he needed the treble for double.
38.
Can't find it.
Ian, you require
I think
99.
he made an error there. I think the treble 16 was the target he should have gone for. Ian's going to leave himself on top.
59. David, you require 70.
Well, 70. He's looking across at treble 10. 20 now for tops. Big dart.
Game's on the second
Is
leg.
what he wanted,
David
and he
Cameron.
now has taken a commanding advantage
Third leg,
in
it's
this
David
set, which he
to
has to
first.
take to
Game on.
keep his hopes of going through to the next round alive.
He's not noted as a big scorer, Dave Cameron, but one thing he is noted for is being clinical at the end of
121.
legs when he gets there. He has shown that in set 2. Now, Dave Cameron in his career has won a lot of titles, like we mentioned, John.
41.
But some of the names of some of these tournaments really have to be noted. He's played and won in Prince Edward Island, which is one of the provinces on the east coast of Canada. They have an open there.
99.
Potato Open. He's won it twice in 2012 and 2015.
Think of a few players who might fancy a go at that one.
46.
Not yourself, of course, being positively sylph-like. Winner of this one, incidentally, this match between Jones and Cameron, faces Cameron Menzies in the next round.
Highly
95.
fancied Cameron Menzies for this tournament, playing at a very high level. But what version of Cameron Menzies will show up? If it's the A-grade Menzies, then
96.
everybody has got right to worry.
Yeah, people talk about people who really succeed on a consistent basis in darts, and they talk about the B game. How good's your B game? And sometimes
58.
Cameron Menzies, brilliant though he can be on a good day, can just go missing.
That is so true. He can turn up and average 103,
60.
but then again, he
David,
could
you
turn up and
require
average 75.
128.
128 then, this is for the set. Great first dart. Oh, how about that? Double 10 now.
118.
That would have been a perfect performance on the outer ring in that set.
Yeah, and it
3
would have-
doubles hit from 3.
It would have just underlined what you said about him being
60.
a clinical finisher
David, you
when he
require
gets
10.
an opportunity. Double 5 then, straight at it and
Game
takes
shot
it.
and a second set.
Nicely done.
David Cameron.
And we are back level. And it is very much now a case of game on.
Third set, first leg. It's Ian to
This
throw
game
first.
is a bit like a hockey
on.
game. The first period was won by Ian Jones. Second period won by Dave Cameron. Who wins the third?
140.
That's a nice way to start it. Where are the averages at the moment? Paul, have you got that little stat in front of you?
81.
Everything's a bit more even now. Ian Jones has come down to an 81. Dave Cameron up to an 80. So they're meeting in the middle at the right time as we go into best of 5 legs to see
81.
who goes through.
I don't know a precise number, but that second set there, I would guess that Cameron must have averaged around 90 in that one to take that second set.
Yeah, I would have seen that as
80.
well. These guys won't have any experience of playing best of 3 sets on this stage, which is, of course, being done for the very first time here at Lakeside in the championship, because previously first round matches were best of 5 sets, so it is more cutthroat.
140.
Did it in the Masters,
Ian,
didn't
you
they? They were
require
best of 3
140.
going back, and that's been played here. And what can Cameron do to put some pressure on? Not a lot, if that's anything to go by.
78. Ian, you require
He really
60.
did. Ian Jones is looking to do what he did in set 1. Double 10.
40.
Chance. 418s for the ball.
David, you require
to get a vital breakthrough.
122.
Well, this would really hurt if he could hit Jones with this. 122, he's got the first one. He's got the second, I think, for double 7. Checking with the scorer, it's double 7 he wants.
115.
He's annoyed at
Ian,
that
you
because
require
that was a real
20.
chance.
And he's on the first leg. Ian Jones.
Yeah, I just get the feeling that Cameron was
Second
out of
leg,
rhythm
it's
going for
David
that
to
double
go
7. I
first.
had to check with our
Amen.
referee, Garen Roderick, and I think if he was in rhythm, he would have stood a much better chance of hitting that 122 out.
Yeah, it was the pause, wasn't it? He
26.
just lost the rhythm of his throw. Everybody doing their own little stats checks and facts checks from the
100.
rather splendid programme that they've put together for this championship.
One of the faces on the front of the programme is of Leighton Bennett, a young kid who won the boys'
81.
championship a couple of years ago. And I still look at that photo now with a lot of joy. I remember when he beat Nathan Gervin in that final and he was hopping across
60.
the stage after a 121 checkout on the bull. What a moment that was.
And pictured on that front page of the programme alongside Wolfie Adams and the last champion, Wayne Warren, the Welshman, who's going to be in action in this
58.
championship, hoping to somehow regain the form that brought him that title, and very much sort of a generational divide there. Leighton Bennett, one of the real bright young talents,
140.
forcing his way through.
Yeah, Leighton will be here later in the week for the boys' title as he has a crack at second championship. Got a few people in
100.
his way, though. We'll talk about that later in the week. But in Cameron's way of another visit to round 2 is this man who has the lead, and he has a better second leg in the final set.
Yeah, he's going nicely, and with a chance here of making a real
100.
forceful move towards
Ian,
the
you
finishing
require
line in the
101.
second leg. 101 required. Oh dear. Well, he didn't want a single 7, that is a fact. So Cameron will get the opportunity to take this leg after all. It's not a
41.
great visit from Jones.
David, you
Leaves
require
60.
136.
This is a very difficult out. 2 trebles for double 8. There's one, though. Great lie. Perfectly used for double 8.
120.
2 big outs.
Ian, you require
And
60.
2 misses on the outer ring. He could be 2-0 up in this final set.
Normally so good on his finishing, and
40.
it just let him down, and that's not a
David,
good
you
last
require
dart either
16.
from Ian Jones. So double 16 for Cameron to make it 1 apiece.
Game's
Great
on the
shot.
second leg.
Double 8,
David
rather.
Cameron.
16, I meant to say.
Third leg, Ian to throw first.
Well,
Game on.
best of 3 legs now. Everything's getting very tight. And when Ian Jones was in the first round in 2008, he lost 3 sets to 1 to the eventual champion Mark Webster. Cameron has been through matches like this previously. Can he use that experience and get to round 2 against Menzies?
What happened to Mark Webster?
121.
Watching now, isn't he?
Well, he does more commentary than anybody in world darts right now. He's everywhere.
I had noticed.
58.
Sort of almost omnipresent, isn't he?
Yeah, I
you
think
almost
he's in-
expect him to come and tap you on your shoulder.
Yeah, he's in Barnsley this weekend with the PDC. I wouldn't be surprised if he popped his head in this week.
59.
It's quite a long pop from
59.
Barnsley to Lakeside on your way back to wherever.
I've seen a few people this morning who have been popping up and down the country to come here. It's a
59.
good friend of mine called Mem Martin this morning. She works in a lot of facets within the game, and she's here to have a bit of fun today to watch Steve Hine, the
66.
Muffin Man, who we'll see later on tonight.
I was getting a bit peckish by late evening yesterday. I might be down at the front hoping he throws something in my direction.
He's brought some.
Excellent.
So if you want a muffin later,
Right,
just
yep.
ask for Steve.
Tell you,
92.
I'm very much in the market for a muffin.
So you do know the Muffin Man,
60. David,
Has
you
the sun
require
goes.
170.
Well, Dave Cameron looking for the big fish. No muffins here.
And no finish either. But he's in a good place.
98.
Treble 18 would have really handy though. This is a big ask for Jones. He's got the first one. He came close on this a minute or two ago, but he's missed the second treble.
98.
This is such a big finish.
72.
If you can click this, he will have the darts in the next leg. Double 12. He is now 2-1 up. This is resilient from Excalibur. I am mightily impressed with this from Cameron, considering how poorly he played in set one.
Yeah, he was. He was bad in the first one, wasn't he? What was his average there? 71 in the first set. And he was getting an absolute tousling from Ian Jones, but he's regrouped at that interval, and he's found just the little missing ingredients.
26
moments, a minute or two on the practice board has just reinvigorated him, brought his concentration to another level, and he's looking as though he is in the mood now to close this one out.
His average has come up to 83, so he's constantly improving that statistic. That's a good sign, as is that first start of this visit.
100.
He'd be disappointed with a ton in the end there.
Yeah, it was begging the old fill it up type line, wasn't it?
More good news for
26.
Cameron is that Ian Jones is starting to find the one a bit more regularly than he did earlier in the match.
With a few nerves now, though, as the finishing line gets closer. In the 2020 World Championships, David Cameron was eliminated 3-1 by Nick Fulwell, English international, who's going to be in action here, and a very talented player he is.
Yeah, Nick's a great guy.
137.
Very good player as well, who has a PDC Tour card now, so he is one of those 5 players who has chosen to take their invitation, even though they are in the PDC Tour.
Jones, I think the pressure has got to him here, and Cameron now is in the position where he can safely say this is his match to lose.
Unquestionably, unless Ian Jones finds a maximum and a 130 out, I think this one's done. 140 is good because it still leaves a finish.
Well, it gives him a chance if Cameron makes a mess of this, but 80 needed, and then even then it'd be a big ask. Well, treble 19, oh dear. Well, he can't go out now, obviously. He needed the treble 19 for double 11.
24.
So, can he do it?
Require 170.
Canadians know a thing about big fish, don't they? How about you, Ian? Very close. Tremendous
85.
effort. But this Cameron 56, John, 56. It should have been smaller.
Let's have a look. Well, he didn't want 7, 49 now. And now he's got double 9 instead of single 9. Dear me. He's giving himself a little bit of a wry smile, but it's a case of what on earth is that coming from? For just a moment, he looks as though he's throwing with somebody else's arms.
He's had 6 darts from 80 and hasn't had a shot at a double. It's a really messy job as Ian Jones looks to save this match on double 5.
80.
Dragged it way low. That was a tense sort of
60.
final dart. So double 8 for the match for David Cameron. Double 4. Double 2 going round the board.
14.
And still he will. He'll come back and madhouse.
Require 5.
We saw missed match darts yesterday from Andreas Harrison. He missed 6. Cameron's 3 missed shots now mean we go all the way to a last leg decider.
Can't believe that. He was 80 with Jones absolutely. Well, you couldn't see him with binoculars looking back, could you? And Cameron's just made a complete hash of it. The man who's usually such a good finisher.
9 darts from 80 points. That's what it was.
42.
And at one point around then, Ian Jones was on 310.
Yeah, well, anybody who's played darts down the local knows what 74. That can feel like. But I'm sure that David Cameron didn't anticipate having that sort of feeling up here on this stage.
96.
Just goes to show, no matter how much experience you have, you are human. You are vulnerable. Only a 74 start in this last leg from Cameron, who finds a 60 with the last dart there. That's key.
Yeah, that was a big dart, that was. And that's a bit of a block. You see, he has to move across the oche, and that one's high on the treble.
85.
It's the adjustment right eventually.
Just got to keep pace if you can't bulldoze your way through in this leg. And that is not going to do the trick.
This is the match decider. Whoever wins this leg takes the match, goes into the next round.
60.
Cameron Menzies awaiting as the next opponent.
David Cameron needs a confidence boost right now.
45.
That again does not work. He's coming up dry. And Jones is very much in the driver's seat now.
Didn't look as though it was going to be this way just a few moments ago, did it?
118.
This is part of the beauty of darts. Matches can change course so very quickly. Jones got the great start. Cameron came back, looked as though he was powering towards
100.
victory. But now,
Ian,
just when he needs
100.
it, he can't find the big numbers, and it could finish right here, right now, but it's not going to do so. He'll
60.
need another visit, and he's left himself on tops for the match.
My stomach jumped a little bit there with that last start. It was a bit too close to that treble 20 for comfort. But now we're going to the wire, possibly with both on a double. And they are both on 40. They can't be separated.
40.
Right, is he going to blink? Is he going to nail it? Double 10. Oh, huge dart. And he gets it.
And a match.
He gets
Ian
it.
Jones.
Disappointment for David Cameron, who's going to really be thinking for an awful long time about that